Okay, let's get started. Hopefully everything is working. I had to do a little bit of troubleshooting before the stream. It was gonna start about 20 minutes ago, but a few things happened, and I was like, oh shit. But it's fixed now. Hopefully, knock on wood. All right, where were we? Where were we? Apparently we had an R8 on, so that's something. I guess that means something. I guess we're gonna be a cowboy for a little bit. And an RPK for backup. Let's see here. Do I have any? I have 500. Okay, that's plenty. Oh wait, we have the shitty pack meal. Hold on, I can fix this. There we go. Gotta redo this now. There's our ammo, pistol ammo. Move you over. That are meds. And what map do we want to do? Not Babel. I know that to be a fact. Let's just do a Mesa. We'll get our drills too, just in case we find some dead mechs. All right, and just a fair warning, there will be some shaders probably loading in. So just to be ready for me having to wait a second for shaders to load. Are we good? Come on, show me the reticle. There we go. Okay, we should be good now. Hey Boo Boo, hey Duffs. Yeah, if your game is loading still, even though you get into the game and you don't see your crosshair yet, a red dot. Once you see your red dot, you know you're good. That's like one of the last things to load when you're loading shaders in, apparently, or at least it feels like it. Don't think we got any mechs right now. Super sad. I bring some drills and I get no mechs. By the way, is the mic sound good? My mic had some issues I had to fix before the stream, so I wanted to make sure like my mic, it should be fine. It looks like it's fine. Just wanted to make sure from your guys' perspective it's fine too. Hello, T90. Alright, that's good to know, yeah. It wasn't, like, I was gonna start like 130, and it wasn't reading the mic input, so I had to go figure out why, and I had to drop the sample rate down quite a bit, but it was like very high quality before, so dropping the sample rate down a ton, or a bit, didn't really affect it too much. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't like bad. I think my my poor old 2i2 Scarlet 2i2 can no longer probably handle 192 kilohertz, which is probably fine because 192 is like very, very high sampling rate. It's a sampling rate you don't usually see outside of like, I guess, very high quality recordings. And I think my Scarlet 2i2 is now old enough where it can't handle it anymore. All right. So no mechs. No big boys. I guess we'll just loot a few crits and leave. I haven't been to the crawler in forever. Let's go to the crawler and fight a bit. It used to be my favorite farming spot until cyborgs got to the point where they were like ludicrously hard to kill.
Whittle them down and we can break out.
Is he twerking on the dead body? That's just disrespectful.
Don't miss. Make every shot count.
What if maybe that's what Eurasia does? They take the brain rot online citizens and turn them into cyborgs, but they still harbor the vestiges of their former life. Fucking twerking on a dead body. SMH cyborgs, SMH.
We've been calculated.
Yeah, let's get out of the fire. All right, Mr. Titan. Here we got crawlers, so nothing really down here at all. Is it an entire mag? Not wait, no, there's no way. Is it really 9 shots? Oh my god. 10 shots, wait, what? That one was a bit... the one we already shot, though. If it's like 9 to 10 shots to kill a cyborg crawler with the R8, holy shit. Hold on. It's like, yeah, 9 to 10, I guess. That is not efficient at all.
Eyes on us.
I don't, well, it's not even headshot resistant at 3000, it's more in the sense they don't have hit boxes. Both the Scrambler and the Crawler don't have hitboxes for weak spots or headshots, whatever you want to call it. So, yeah. They just eat bullets. And so, like, the 308 or the 3D7, it has a better headshot multiplier, if I recall correctly, but it does the same base damage as 308, which means with like a foul, you're basically gonna take 10 shots basically per crawler if you hit every shot. Which is kind of wild. Actually, the RPK is the same too. We can just do it with the RPK actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I kind of missed a few there. That was like 8 or 9. But it is wildly not efficient. Lots of loot though. Yeah. No. I did not bring a flashlight by accident. Oh well. I feel like the light should be bouncing more than this, right? I know they like, so Lumen is, people like put Lumen under ray tracing, but like the reason for ray tracing, right, is to solve issues like this where you have a light source. I guess it's like maybe bouncing around a lot, right? Actually, is there a light up there? Yeah, there is. Where like it should be bouncing around enough to the point where this dark corner isn't dark because of ray tracing, right? Like this is something you would expect out of baked lighting, not necessarily ray tracing. This is exactly what ray tracing is trying to solve, is like arbitrarily dark corners when there's a light source nearby. Light should bounce. I will say though, I think Mesa's like one of the earlier maps though too. This Titan is like, it honestly could probably use an overhaul, I feel like, interiorly. Both it and the Titan on Mesa share the same, like, the Titan on Frozen Swamp share the same interior, and they're both kind of, not bad, but they definitely could use them TLC. Fuck off. Got sidewalks to the left. Just drones over here. Alright. The annoying drones are dead. That's all I care about. I said you're dead. Why do I see spotlights? I'm not gonna lie, if I could request one thing from Fundog right now, I would absolutely request just a total rework of drones. And like, the first rework I would actually specify is that model the gun on them. Please. Hey, Delta. Every other unit has to look at you to shoot you except for the drones that are just like, hey, fuck you. Beam of death. And I feel like they would feel a lot fairer too if like you actually saw the gun on them and had some indication of where they're pointing or where they're like going to shoot at. But they're only just playing around, Delta. Patch is gonna be Monday apparently according to them, so that will be the stream. Granted, it depends on when they release it. I have a lot of stuff to do on Monday. I have a few exams in different classes, so like I won't be on until the evening. I'll still stream, but I won't be on until the evening. Which might be okay, it's like sometimes they release late anyway, which might be okay, but if they like release at noon on like noon EST, I won't be available for like 5 or 6 hours. It be what it be. I wouldn't be surprised though if they take most of the day. They then generally, like, the last few matches have been like usually late at night for EST people, especially late at night for EU folk. AMK. All right, let's run it back one more time. Let's actually bring a different rig in. I need to probably start getting water again, so that's why I'm doing different rig. I need the aquas. I've been ignoring it for a long time. I think they said surprise gift, right? So they're probably gonna do like, I would guess a skin. That would be the most like, this, like, when they say they have a surprise because they're artists, I'm gonna think from an artistic standpoint. So like, maybe art book announcement, maybe like skin, something in that lane. Because we already know the patch is coming, right? Well, the cinematic we know about, right? They've done a cinematic with every single patch. So like, we know there's a cinematic coming. Like, that's a given, right? They have always done one for a patch. Maybe a separate cinematic for something else. Potentially, I guess, maybe. I would put my money on like something like art focused. Maybe they figured out the art book. Maybe it's a skin. Maybe it's something else entirely. Who knows? But I would lean into like artistic flavoring. Well, I mean, I imagine Hyper. I would hope that they're actually like. I feel like that's kind of the case though with every video they make, in the sense of like, yeah, we're proud of this video, because otherwise they wouldn't put it out if they didn't feel proud of it, right? Like, if they thought it was a shit video, like, wow, they hurt themselves at putting it out for no reason. Yeah, we'll see. In the next patch, every time you walk forward, there's a chance you trip and fall and get knocked down.
Gotta keep a record in the event of my death.
I mean, to be fair, Critical, the reason why they said it is because Nightmare and myself have been writing them about fucking communicating more. I would say in this particular instance more Nightmare than me. I have been a broad critique of their communication style. Nightmare's been driving the fucking hammer in though. So the post from Jeff is much appreciated, but it was through like us constantly being like, hey, please fucking put out something. And like, even the little bit we did get from Jeff was nice, right? I do think the thing that's coming in the patch should have been talked about, or maybe they will do a dev blog on the day of the patch talking about the mechanic, but I do think they should probably put out something on the mechanic. Maybe it's in the video. But I do think them like talking about what they're adding in, the reasons for it, and the like intended goal or like, you know, future considerations of the thing they're adding in is important. Aaron, no, like I've been like, no, they have constantly been focusing on performance, yeah. Well, Hyper, what I'm alluding to in the sense of we're trying to get them to do it more. And so that post from Jeff was very appreciated, but that was us being like, hey, or more in this instance, Nightmare being like, hey, please post something. Like, you made a dev blog channel, use it. You have to understand the people, like, they don't have a PR or a CM, right? Like, it's literally like you have a bunch of people who just, the communication part of game dev is like not what they're focused on, right? It's about just making the game, which is fair. but it leaves all of us in the dark, and that has backfired a lot. I think it's a good change. Like, at the very highest level, I will say it makes the game more like a game. And it's a good foundation, but there's still lots of ways to go. I do not say this lightly. I think the patches, to my knowledge, what they're including in the patches, they're overall very good, and I'm very hopeful, and I think it will make a lot of people very happy. It has its issues still, like everything else will, but like I do think it actually makes the game more like a game. Which is there a floor helicopter? It's probably a floor helicopter. Hey, Michael. Ignore the magazine. But no, yeah, it makes the game more like a game. Neoprene shit like that, by the way, is like 100% exactly the reason why, like, they do have a tendency to miss lots of small things like that. I do think that, like, they are so zoomed out on the big picture, which is fair, right? It's very important to still have an idea of the big picture, that on their way to the big picture, there's lots of little cuts and scrapes that make it very abrasive. Like the bugged quests, certain bugged areas, like small quality of life things, or like polishing things like this, for example. Like this should be invisible right now. Stuff like that, right? And it's not like any one of those things are very important or big, but they add up, right?
As perfect a day as any.
But no, yeah, I think the patch coming will be very good. But yeah, we'll just have to see how it lands. I do think it's like I will not say it's perfect, but I will say that I think what they're including lets them tune it or add to it in meaningful ways that they couldn't do in the current game. Well, it's in this instance, it's not even art stuff, Michael. It's just the big picture stuff versus the small stuff, right? Like individual quest bugs or individual issues, right, for when a magazine should be invisible, or individual issues where certain areas on maps have terrible performance. Like lots of the small stuff goes noticed because I think they're always focusing on like the next thing coming to make the picture whole, and it's not always art, right? They're never at a point where I feel like they're doing the cleanup, right? Like, say for example, like you let's say for example you build something, right, and there's a bunch of construction debris around. As opposed to breaking or like cleaning up the debris, they move on to the next construction, and so we're left with lots of debris that kind of gets bigger and bigger as time goes on because they just let it build up. I mean, I can't assume reception, MK, right? All I can speak is for myself, and I view it as a positive change. I don't think it's perfect, but I think it lays that foundation for something they can easily build off of. And like the biggest thing is like right now, the way these maps are structured, it feels like a tech demo, right? In some capacity. It makes it feel much more like a game. Yeah, I mean, I would say by and far, Michael, it's the opposite, though, in this particular instance. But there's definitely things, right, they seem to value higher than others, right? Like, for example, the state the shield officer got shipped out in its original state felt very like it shouldn't have been in the patch or in the game. Like, to be quite frank, I mean, like, okay, I will say this though. On a certain level, if they were willing to be much more forthcoming or open about the sense of, we are going to send you some very broken raw shit, and you know, and you are, you know, helping us in QA testing and fixing bugs. If they took that approach, I would change my, like, I would be okay with how they shipped the shield officer, right? Because it was incredibly buggy and weird and just not working properly, right? If, like, they made it very clear that they're going to ship us out stuff like that, sure. But it definitely feels like they don't want to ship us out stuff that's broken. And so seeing the shield officer very broken just felt very, very weird, right? Yeah. I mean, 3000, I will say, I would rather prefer them fix things that currently exist as opposed to adding more shit. I like new shit, don't get me wrong. Like, I was an advocate for new guns for a very long time, until I realized that, like, they just seem to not be able to work on or fix existing guns. So I'm like, more in the sense of, let's go fix the current guns camp. But in regards to like a new enemy type, let me add a new, I'm gonna add a new unit. It's gonna be called the Ogomech, not the Orgomech, the Ogomech. It will have the same AI as the Orgomech, and it will be unkillable, but instead of like a beige green color, it will be purple. The Ogomech. Same exact moveset. And like most unkillables, it will spawn on the map and immediately go after the player and kill them. I really genuinely hope they just do not add any more unkillables without touching the previous unkillables first. I pray. Do not add another unkillable with an Orgomech skin or Orgomech AI. God, okay, yeah. What would I want to see a new enemy troop type? I would say 3000. I actually don't want to see a necessarily new troop type. What I want to see are logistic vehicles. They talked about their first patch for the year in March being like the logistical or like the reinforcement update. It kind of really wasn't though. They fixed pop-ins and they fixed drone spawns, but by and large, the spawn systems for every other thing on the map functions exactly the same as it was before, just less pop-in-y. So like, I would really say that they didn't really do the reinforcement update. And so I would like to see them focus on that, honestly, and like add in logistical vehicles or units to facilitate troops respawning organically or more like grounded, right? Like helicopters coming in or APCs coming in, dropping off troops at the edge of the map and leaving. Like they don't even need to necessarily be like functioning fighting units, but like seeing a lorry or like a truck or like an APC come in. Like, imagine if we're on Mesa, right, and you just see like a few APCs come in from the edge of the map and drop off troops. That'd be fucking dope as shit. I mean, you can do drop pods for very elite units, but it would feel weird, right? Like, it wouldn't even be drop pods per se, it might be launch pods, like a trajectory, as opposed to like being dropped from orbit, because orbit would be sketchy in the setting. But I would use that only sparingly, right? You can't have normal troops delivered that way. Or for example too, right, I would love, this might be getting into like the too much work for the effort area, but I would really like to see them do something with the airdropped cyborgs. I do not think the current way they're implemented feels very like it. For most like things, you have to play for a bit to like understand how things work and get disillusioned by the like for the most part, for newer players, lots of the illusions of spawns hold up pretty well. I would say the cyborg drop bomber doesn't, though. I think that the vast majority of players, even newer players, will see through the illusion of the drop cyborgs very quickly, and it will break their, like, suspension of disbelief, right? It will, like, break your immersion, right? Because, like, it's so visibly clear that the cyborgs, all it does is they, like, do a drop effect, and the cyborgs spawn out of the ground. Like, it's not, they're not connected. Like, they're connected by the mechanic, right? Of, like, you know, cyborg bomber comes in, drops cyborg, plays drops, like, cyborg effect, and then the cyborgs spawn and crawl out of the ground. But it doesn't feel very seamless, right? It doesn't feel very organic. Yeah, the opposing cyborgs back in the day were always funny too. But no, I would honestly, as opposed to adding more units, if the only units I would add would be like logistical in nature. It depends on what you would want to do, Duffs, right? Like, it depends on like the bandwidth constraints you have, and if you actually want those APCs to go into the map and fight or not. But like at its simplest, like if they did not have lots of bandwidth to put on this and they didn't really want to deal with adding more vehicles to the game, I would just literally have it to be the simplest solution, right? Of just have it be a way of grounding respawns in the maps and have APCs drive onto the map, drop some troops off, and leave. Same with maybe helicopters too, for example, right? Like, it's just literally a way to make reinforcements and respawns feel more real or grounded. And like the other thing I would do too, right, is that this would be definitely a harder ask, but like what I really want to truly see, right, is I want to see, this is gonna be hard, right, because it probably requires a restructuring how they do spawns, like on most maps, because most maps have lots of different units that spawn on the map. But like, I picked up mech trench quests and went to elephant. Okay, ignore me. I really would like to see if they could hold on.
I don't have a good feeling.
We good? Yeah, I'm gonna assume we're good. Blood, it would stay the same on smaller maps, right? Because you wouldn't need to worry about that because the spawns are already off screen. Like, for example, in Scrapyard. Or on Mech Trench, you could have reinforcements go out. Like, there's multiple different ingress points to Mech Trench, right? They could use, and they could add more ingress points too. They already have the spawns kind of function like that on Mech Trench also. So they've already been doing the other maps on this part, but like, what I really want to see, right, is I want to have more organic spawns on maps and have units move through the map, right? Like, say for example, if you kill units at Shantytown on Mesa, the reinforcements would have to come in organically from off map or come in from like helicopter or drop pod, right? Like, they couldn't just, if you left and came back, they wouldn't just be there again from the spawn trigger, right? They would actually have to go there from the edge of the map and get back in. Or have some other way of getting in. Like, there could be spawn areas too, right? They could use ways of reinforcing, but the reinforcement should feel, I think, a bit more natural than it currently does. Like, the fact that I could probably leave this area, let me see if I can actually force us to unspawn. There are so many areas of the game where you can just leave and come back to, and the exact same spawns will happen, which is very off-putting, right? And I think it's kind of immersion breaking, to be honest. Like, the fact that they handle spawns currently on map load I understand why they do that, but I think it's worth redoing. Well, it would also be the way you could actually make hunter-killers balanced too, right? If hunter-killers had to come in from off-map and then hunt you down, it would feel a lot better than spawning around a fucking corner.
I think they spotted us. That's it for us.
Because it would feel like you're actually, like, it's grounded, right? Like, hey, hunter-killers are coming, they come in from off-map, they start hunting you from off-map, you kill them, they have to respawn off-map and come back in. And you could have hunter-killers have drop pods too, right? Like, certain drop, like, you know, hunter-killers, some hunter-killers might be faster about getting to you than others. Hell, you could even make it too, right? Where, like, they're... Like, you might be able to tell the calling card of certain hunter-killers from the sounds they're making or by, like, the ambiance of what's happening when they, like, start to spawn in, right? Like, say, for example, there's a certain hunter-killer squad that spawns in a Huey or a helicopter, right? Like, if you get a hunter-killer notification and you hear a helicopter off in the distance, you might now know what hunter-killer is coming after you. Or, for example, if you hear, like, an APC off in the background after you're seeing hunter-killers, you might know there's a certain APC squad coming after you. Or if you hear the pitter-pattering of feet angrily running at you, you know it's a grabber.
I think they spotted us. That's it for us.
But no, like, by and large, like, the units I would want to see would be logistical units, and the ways I would want to see them put as a reworked spawn system. Essentially, what I'm asking for is the reinforcement update. I would argue we never got. Yoink. I do want some water. I don't need lockboxes at all, really. Is that a dog or a cyborg out there? I could have swore I heard a swipe. Hey, game. I mean, define. What do you mean by late, though? Actually, I guess, like, if I want to be mean, yeah, Game Shifter, you are 30 minutes late to the stream. How dare you? Everyone scolded Game Shift in chat. I can't believe you weren't here the exact microsecond I started streaming. How have you? Why have you forsaken me, Game Shift? I can't believe you would do this to small streamer boy. Alright, is it the... No. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Can you? I don't know. Can you, Game Shift, go to the bathroom? Or may you go to the bathroom? Congratulations, I am now a middle school teacher. Hey, Amp, how's it going? Sir? Hey, Joaquin, not really. I mean, if you're in the Discord, you know there's a patch coming Monday, but other than that, nothing really. Yeah, that's about how it goes. Yeah, it doesn't really path, like, the pathing of the grabber in the, it gets really wonky once the door is open. Brother, I'm pretty sure, like, literally being a middle school teacher is, like, the worst job you could possibly have. You don't get, like, the funny, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, it definitely feels like the worst possible, like, grades to teach. I would never be a teacher in the first place because I don't have the patience for it. I like teaching, but I don't like I don't have that much patience. I would get frustrated too quickly. But no, yeah, it seems like the worst fucking grade to teach. No, yeah, that's also true too. Like, congratulations, you went to go get your, like, undergrad or master's in education. You now get to go teach middle school and be in crippling debt for the rest of your life. And make no money and live basically like a peasant. The nods. We're doing mech trench like we should have done last time. Let's bring a backup 9mm to my backup 9mm. I probably need more bullets for this if we're gonna do all 9mm. Michael, for people, like, so middle school in America is grades 6 through 8, which, if I recall, is mainly going to get you, if I recall correctly, grade 5 is like when you're 10, if I recall correctly. So, like 11, 12, 13 years of age is basically our middle schools, if I recall. But I think 10 is grade 5 around. But yeah, no, you get paid shit to deal with, like, essentially very hormonal children. Which does not sound appealing. Who, as Em said, like, are not intelligent enough yet, or, like, they're not based, on multiple different levels, they're not intelligent enough yet to actually have, like, meaningful conversations. Emotionally and intellectually.
Eyes on us. Spread out.
Hold on. Hold on. I said hold on. My god, you were tanky. Did I not bring meds? Oh. Whoops. That's really all you had was an optic? Why do you have 2 handguards? Why do you only have alcohol? And that's more understandable, to be honest. I can understand that a lot more than just having, like, a fucking 2 handguards in your backpack. Stop respawning. This is what I mean, by the way. The fucking respawns. I hate it so goddamn much. Did you have meds? It depends on the schools. Like, it's not uncommon for like a also when he says one class, he means like a grade level, right? He doesn't mean like an individual classroom. He means a grade level. So for example, like a high school in America might have 700 people in like grade 10. Good, that would still be a big school though. That would be a very big school. I want to say my class was like 300 to 400. Typically, schools in America will usually be in like around 30 kids, if not worse now. When I was in school, it was like 25 to 30, and it's probably only gotten worse since then. Yeah, I believe that. And at that point, right, like, if you have, like, 50-minute class blocks with, like, 40 kids, like, there's no shot a teacher can be personable to, like, any of those students on, or every one of those units, right?
I think they spotted us.
There's not enough bandwidth for the teacher. I must formally request that you stop spawning immediately. Especially considering too, right, like, they're having to grade more papers, grade more tests. Like, yeah, it's just, yeah. No, it depends on America, like where you're at in America too. Like if you're like in a city area or like a very metropolitan area or suburbia, you might have like those like large classrooms or those like large schools with like lower grades. But like as you get more out to the boondocks, more rural America too, like it will inversely change to very small classes. It's weird. Oh, let's not fuck with you guys. Yeah, Michael, I like even in grad school, that's not even the case for like a good portion. Like, let me think. One of my classrooms is a combined class of a few different grad programs. And it's like 35 people. But most are usually around 10 to 15. So like what you're seeing in your classrooms, Michael, is what we probably only get in like very higher education. Alright, sabotage mech, hack servers. No, 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 no. Are they aggro or are they chill? I think they're chill. Fuck it. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Back up 9 mil. Exactly as we drew it up. It's hit or miss. Some Michael I find that they care, but some of them seem more apathetic. Like they're more there to do research than teach, but they have to teach because they're a professor. So like it's yeah, teacher to teacher basically. Like I definitely get the vibe of like one of my teachers being like that. Like they're pretty young though too, so like they're pretty green when it comes to being a professor. But it does seem that like we're there to check a box for them, right? They have to teach us because they have to teach a class. So like thankfully only one of my 4 classes feels like that. Especially considering too, like, I'm not sure if he has his doctorate. I think he's like maybe like a year or 2 older than me. So he's like 34, 35. I'm not sure if he has his doctorate. He might just have his master's, but he's a professor at the very least. I can't remember if he has a doctorate or not. But no, like he is like, this might be his 2nd semester teaching, and you can kind of tell. I can go into more detail too because this won't dox me because there's like, this is everywhere. Yeah, he's a professor for econometrics, which is, for those unfamiliar, it's like stats applied to like social economy, right? Like in the sense of like, say for example, of like, we can just like the stats of like pollution and housing prices, right? That's kind of at a broad level of what econometrics is like stuff like that. And like he is very green in the sense of like, the way he does his lectures currently is he kind of just talks and writes on the board, but the only thing he writes on the board is like the formulas. He doesn't even like write the actual names of the formulas. He'll just put a bunch of functions and formulas on the on the whiteboard basically and talk about them. So our notes are literally just basically us writing down fucking formulas. So like and it feels like he's phoning it in. He's not doing a bad job, but it doesn't feel like he's doing a good job of teaching it. Especially for us who haven't had stats in a while. Like I haven't had stats in a few years, so it's definitely me having to relearn stats all of a sudden. Which is it's not terrible, but like, it's been a while. But no, like it's definitely one of those classes where I'm getting the vibe is like, I am studying to pass the test, not to learn. Well, like the rest of my classes, I can say I'm actually like learning and then taking the test from the learning. His class is like strictly like, I'm here to pass the test.
Don't miss. Make every shot count.
It is what it is. You're always gonna find some of those, right? Like I said, I don't want to say it's malicious. I just want to say like it's because he's pretty green still. And he might just be there for research too, I can't say. But like, I'm hoping he learns over time. Like he says, he's very green. You can tell like this is his 1st or 2nd year teaching, which I think it was confirmed at 2nd semester teaching. And like, you can tell. No, fucking. Fucking just, why won't you be nice to me, Spectrum? It seems to be recovering now, but there was definitely a very brief period of taking a shit for a second there. Okay. Teaching is a skill, Murphy, and like it's partially learned and partially like an element of like there is a talent behind it too, right? I will say, right, as like you can learn how to be a good teacher, but there are some soft skills that I think that's more based on your personality. No. Yep. This is great. Get the fuck up, Mask Man. Yeah, unfortunately, hopefully it fixes itself. Unfortunately, I have no control over the current internet taking a shitting. I would say, like, that's probably like my biggest weakness, Murphy. I'll say is like I do get frustrated. Not easily per se, but it will build up over time with me, and it's very hard for me to clear out without just like finding event source. So like, and it depends on the student too, right? Like I will be very understanding for a very long period of time, but like there are just some students who just, I hate to use this term because I genuinely do believe that like if you apply yourself, you can overcome a lot. But I don't know. Sometimes there's a person out there who just like, how are you the way that you are? That's unfortunate. Just chain aggro. Did we have hunter killers on us? Maybe that were like, I was wondering why we were getting aggroed so aggressively. We might have had HKs on us. I'm not gonna lie. If I really like the idea behind HKs getting reinforcements, I like the fact that like HKs spawn on the map and like, hey, let's get some friends to help us out hunt down this player, right? I do not like the fact that they're omniscient. And that, like, it feels very natural for HKs to get help to go take you out. It doesn't feel natural. It feels unnatural for them to do so omnisciently. Yeah, no, that can happen, Emp, though too. We did quite a bit of killing, so like it's very likely it happened without us noticing. It's very easy to miss. I also like Murphy, like the way I'll kind of put it is back in grade school, and like I think it was grade 12 for me, right? There was we were in AP Bio, and for people unfamiliar, AP Bio is basically like advanced biology, right? Like AP Bio is like any AP course in America is essentially an advanced course. You can go take an exam after you take it and get college credit for the class. To help, like, for example, if I did AP Bio and did well in the exam, I can go take the test, and that would get me credit for an entry-level biology course in college. But I had a peer, or this chick who sat next to me in AP Bio. Like, she was in AP Bio, so you think that she'd be smart, right? And she didn't seem dumb. She might have seemed a bit daft, but not dumb per se. But it felt like she was always just not it felt like she was playing the role of like the ditz, right? Like she felt a lot smarter than she was giving her credit for, and it felt like she was underachieving herself. And like that's something that kind of like made me very irked, or like it felt like she had so much possibility, or like not possibility, like it didn't feel like she was as dumb as she was letting her off self to be, right? And she didn't feel like she was applying herself, right? I don't want to say she was being lazy, but she was maybe like undermining herself. and it just felt frustrating, right? Because it's like if you're an AP Bio course, like you feel like you're smart and you should be here, right? But it just feels like you like either doubt yourself or you just, you know, you're not applying yourself correctly. It just felt like there was something wrong there. Yeah, exactly, like wasted potential, Emp. And I don't even want to say it's like lacks commitment potentially. It's definitely like this weird gray area I can't exactly quantify, because I don't want to say it's as malicious as wasted potential, because I understand too, right? Like, you shouldn't drive a person to their breaking point because that's their potential, right? Like, technically speaking, someone's potential should be up until the point until they break. Like, you should stop them right before they break, but like you should take advantage of all that potential. That feels like what wasted potential feels to me, but I wouldn't go that far. I do understand that there needs to be, like, you shouldn't push a person to their absolute limit. But it felt like there was so much she was leaving on the table, right? Or rather, it felt like she was making herself dumber, essentially, right? And maybe that's probably the wrong word of putting it too. Or a wrong way of phrasing it. Maybe not like making yourself dumber, but like, I don't know, it's weird, yeah. But no, like that's what would frustrate me as a teacher, I would think, because you're gonna find a lot of those in classes, I feel like, where it feels like they're not applying themselves. I think that might be the right word, is like, they're not applying themselves. And that would frustrate me, right? Because like, you can see the potential in someone, and you're like, they're not necessarily like, you know, not pushing themselves to the limit or like lacking commitment. It's just that they're not applying themselves.
Just one more run, just one.
Because I don't think like you should like gash yourself out, right? Like there should be a balance, right? I don't think anyone should work themselves to the fucking bone. Yeah, and I guess like the point I'm raising here, Amp, is like, it's more in the sense of where I would get frustrated is in the sense of it feels like they should be able to get there, but they don't because of their own volition. Like it feels like it's something like on their end that's stopping them from getting there, not necessarily a lack of innate ability. Confidence is a big thing, and like it could be a confidence issue, right? Like that's a big thing, and like the up and coming generation too, of like, you know, what's it called? People use this term fucking so much now. What's it called again? It's the thing where imposter syndrome. There we go. It's a very common buzzword now, is imposter syndrome.
This is it. We decide what happens next.
Motivations, I would say it's a combination of different things, Murphy, but they all have these kind of same effect, where it's essentially someone leaving, someone of like eventually of their own volition, not applying themselves, right? In this particular instance, I think she was a cheerleader too, so like, and she did kind of have that like ditzy sort of, in a way, Murphy, I will say, it felt like she was not applying herself to make her fit into a stereotype so that she would fit in socially. That's a good way of putting it. Cut themselves short. I would say that's a good way of putting it, Murphy. The inkling I got from the dynamic was it felt like she was limiting herself to conform to a social kind of, I guess, status. And I don't know this to be true, just how I felt at the time, right? Where, like, that was a clear frustration for me, because it felt like she was so much smarter than she was letting on. But she wasn't willing to, like, utilize that, like, intelligence because of maybe, like, the social stigma of, like, where she felt like she belonged. Yeah, like, it's like, and that would be the stuff that frustrates me. Like as like I do genuinely like teaching people stuff. I love doing troubleshooting. Like, I will find myself usually helping people through technical issues all the fucking time, but like, there's a certain point where like I will generally be very kind about people because I don't expect people to like, especially like older folks, right? Like I would get a lot of them. In my undergrad, I did tech at Staples, which I'm not saying is prestigious at all, right? But you will get a lot of older folk who just do not understand technology when they go to a company like Staples for fucking tech support. Thankfully, I was there, huh? And like, it's very important to understand like they're not technical people, right? They don't use computers, but like maybe they'll check their emails or Facebook and stuff like that. So like, it's very important to understand like that the content, like they shouldn't know better. I don't expect them to like know technical shit that like I would not like. Yeah, they're not gonna know how to do things. And that's perfectly fair, right? But like when you're like when you're an AP Bio course, right? Like you got yourself into this course. I feel like you shouldn't conduct yourself in a certain way because like it feels like you belong here, right? Like my expectations for you are higher. Yeah, as long as we're not being a dick imp, like that, and that's the biggest thing, right? It's like as long as we're not being an asshole, I'm perfectly fine with it. Why am I going here? This is just a fucking death trap. Perfect, that's a fair analysis too. I could be using it as like a way of making sure I don't get frustrated too, is by having my expectations be very low. I know I've told this story before too, but for those unfamiliar, I do want to tell the story again also. One of my, I got to the point where I was doing on-calls. Essentially, people would like have me go to their houses to fix issues. And we had this chick, right, this older person, who like, she brought her computer in like 2 to 3 times and was like, hey, I don't see anything wrong. Everything's working fine here. And she's like, says, my mouse isn't working when I'm at home. Like it works fine until I get home. It doesn't work. I was like, okay, well, I plugged in the mouse here and it works. Like the only thing I can do here is like do an on-call. And like I said, like you should check your mouse. And she said she checked her mouse. But eventually I do the on-call, which is expensive. It's like $180 for me to go out there. And like I go out there and it's their mouse. They like their mouse is dead. So I had to like just like, hey, you need to get a new mouse. But I was there for another like, because I was like, I must get your money's worth, right? I'll sit here for like another hour and talk to you. And they're talking to me about like, hey, like how does, like we have a credit card we don't use that we leave on the counter over here. And like, we've never used it before, but apparently it's already been getting like hacked, right? There's already people like using it and like, you know, charging fraudulent things to the card, even though we've never used it. And like, they told me like what the charges were for. And the charges were either for Steam or they were for Roblox. I think they might have been for Steam, or it might have been Roblox too. It was one or the other, right? Actually, it was, I think it was Steam, but I got clued in because I saw Roblox on the desktop. And they noticed that they had their nephew there. They had about a preteen or like young, like a older child, kid there. And I'm like, hey, your nephew plays on this computer, right? And you have a credit card next to it, and a wallet that you never use, that's never been used before. And I'm like, hey, and they wouldn't accept it, but I had to like kind of clue them on, and be like, hey, like I'm not gonna tell you this outright, but I'm gonna give you a few clues. If the only possible if the card is being used to charge money for games like Steam games and Roblox, and your kid plays Steam and Roblox, and the credit card's right next to the computer they use, I got some bad news for you. It's better to have it younger than older, and it's good that you probably caught it early, but you need to have a talk with your nephew. And I said that in like the nicest way fucking possible. And I never knew the resolution if they actually resolved it or not, but man. Yeah, exactly. Like my kid would never do that. I'll be honest too. When I didn't have a credit card, I did it a few times. Granted, the way it would work is I left money in the wallet of my mom. Essentially, I was to the point where I had a job but not a credit card yet, or debit card. So like I couldn't buy things on Steam, and so what I would do is I would take my mom's credit card and then buy stuff on Steam, and I would leave the money in their wallet. I didn't tell her that though. I'm not sure if she actually got the clue in. That's what I was doing. I felt she probably knew though. She's not that dumb. So it was a fair exchange. I wasn't stealing, I was just using a credit card without permission. But I was paying for it in my own way. I mean, the bad thing though is I wasn't telling her. But no, I remember too, back in middle school too, back in middle school, my dad locked me out of playing WoW by putting a parent lock on the router, and I just reset the router. By the way, if you parent lock something, you need to physically secure it also, by the way. Life finds a way. It's not the dark side, it's more the sense of like, hey, your security is only as good as the weakest link. And if I have physical access to your device, you're not gonna keep me out. I will get it eventually. I will say though, Windows has gotten harder to actually get into, even with actual physical access. Like, older versions of Windows is very, very easy to get into if you have physical access, even without a password. Newer versions of Windows, not so much. At least, not the ways I've learned yet. They probably require a much more technical approach. But no, yeah, physical access to your machine, like, sorry, not sorry, you're gonna get caught, you're gonna get cheated eventually, you're gonna get hacked eventually. There was a big part 2 game shift where like my PC for the longest time was in a communal a communal area in the house, and I constantly kept asking like, hey, when can I put this in my room, and they always constantly just put it off. So eventually, just one day, I was just like, fuck it, I just put the PC in my room, and they didn't give a shit. I was like, all right, this is cool. Hey, Camper, how's it going? Yeah, there was like one point, Michael, where like back like a while ago. Oh man. Yeah, my parents weren't like too strict. There was certain things that like they were strict about, but by and large, they were pretty laissez-faire parents. There were certain things though that like it was definitely stricter, and they got looser when the point we got both in high school. My sister's 4 years older than me. So like by the time she was in college and I was in high school, like they were much more lackadaisical. When we were younger, they were much more stringent. But no, like Michael, like yeah, like it was a while ago, but I once again working for Staples in my undergrad. A client asked me to go out to their house, and dude, fucking Christ, okay, this guy was a character, but like I went to his property in the bumfuck. It was like a large, like multiple acres of land in the middle of bumfuck nowhere with multiple different houses and shit like that, and like you could tell, like 100% he had an anchor bait, like he had a Hispanic wife who was like he was in his like 70s or 80s. He had a Hispanic wife, probably in her 40s or 50s. who had like multiple children and family there. You could clearly tell it was like a green card like marriage, right? Or like what was it called? Like, and the marriage basically to get residency or citizenship, right? Like it was very clear the picture that was going on here. And like he had me go hack his old computer, his wife of his old computer, because she was deceased for a period of time, and she was on like a very old XP machine. And this was XP when Windows 10 was like, this is not that long ago, where it was like the main computer was Windows 10. It was still newer, I think, but like Windows XP was very, very old. And Windows XP, thankfully, it was like, yeah, it's like if you have physical access to XP computers, you can get in. It's a joke. But no, it just, the guy just threw up so many fucking red flags. I think he talked to me about like, he was basically like, he had connections in the police force. And like how like, yeah, if you put a bumper sticker of my business on your car, you won't get ticketed by the city police. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Who genuinely talks like this? I remember his, like, he got into some issues eventually, I think, where, like, I think he maybe got out, like, that he was, like, something big happened with him, right, where his businesses basically got, like, he had to, like, sell his business or something happened. I was out of town for when that happened, but, like, yeah, it was super fucking sus. He called me, like, a year later to ask me to do more work for him. I'm like, sorry, I don't live near you anymore, thankfully, because I really just do not want to be associated with you. He had one of those vibes where it just felt like criminal to be around him. Yeah, he got in trouble with it. I can't remember what he got in trouble for. You could probably go look it up, but I don't want to dox myself either, because I would get into very particular shit. What, just like Michael's social engineering? Yeah, just like where the person you're talking to, Canford, just feels like bad news, and you're just like, something doesn't feel right with the vibe here. I want to get the fuck out of here as soon as possible. His property felt like a property where, like, if there was self-defense laws or like my castle laws in the state, I feel like he would liberally use them. It felt like when I was going onto his property, I was going onto someone else's sovereign land. Delta, if you're not familiar with American culture, it might not make a lot of sense to you. There's quite a few different areas of America that feel very fucking weird. I don't know if you're American or European or what you are, but like, there's certain elements of America that are just very, very off-putting. It feels like you're like in a mini country, essentially. I feel at the point that you're if you're lockpicking though, do you actually have to do lockpicking, or is it all just like tech lockpicking where it's just like a access keycard you skimmed? I feel like if you're at the point where you're doing physical lockpicking, that's more like a security camera thing, right, than anything else. Or Idaho game shift. Idaho is apparently very sus. I had family live in Idaho briefly too, like for a few years, and I was like, yeah, apparently Idaho has a Nazi problem. Yeah, I feel like if you're doing social engineering or like doing tech hacking, like in like RFID cloning, like, you know, keycard cloning, sure. I feel at the point where you're actually breaking out a physical lockpick to get in is kind of like in a different area of security. But like if they wanted you to do that too, it makes perfect sense also though, right? Maybe the security person though is not up to par or up to snuff. Yeah, California's weird because California definitely has that like interior, exterior, or north or south where it's just like the vibe is completely different. Rural California versus urban California. Okay. I kind of wanted to get some mech kills, or not mech kills per se, but I want to get some mech codexes. Let's give Mason another shot. Should I do bad? No, Battle doesn't have mechs, and fuck Babel, fuck Cemetery. Downtown doesn't really have mech kills. It's Elephant Mesa, Scorched Enclave, kinda, sort of. I mean, Bob, we're out there, right? Because California's very big and very diverse. Like, California is a very, very, very big state. It's not Texas big, but it's still pretty big. Also, this is not the right spawn. Alright, we have a T9. Did we have any mechs at all? Have I been bamboozled? Yeah, like California is very diverse between north and south and just like the mountains and not the mountains. Like, if you're talking broadly about LA, sure, but LA is not a big segment of California. It's a very significant segment of California, but it's not a big part of it. By geographic diversity reasons. I mean, the mountains of California are very pretty. Same thing with like Northern California too, which is getting toward Oregon. Baby aloud. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and probably leave because this extract is sus as shit. And there's really nothing here for us anyway. I know there's like a meme post in the subreddit of talking about how like this map is like by far what casuals play the most, or people who play the game for like it seems like the most played comfort map. I find it like kind of really fucking boring though. Oh god. How is that an okay thing? Why is it? Why? Why? Can you chain a knockdown into an insta-death? Actually, if the boring is regarding to like Scorched Enclave, I do agree. I don't think Scorched Enclave has enough going on to make it interesting. It is, there's not really a lot going on Scorched Enclave. Like, if you want to, like... There's a few choices to make when you go through the map of, like, where you want to loot, but by and large, like, once the spawns in the map are not diverse enough to make the map compelling, right? The map plays pretty similarly a lot of the time. You can approach it from different ways, which keeps it somewhat interesting, as opposed to like Stairway, where you only have really one way to approach it. But like, there's just not a whole lot to do on the map, really, is the big thing. No, so what happens, right, is that the cooldown for them shooting the grenade launcher essentially is a little bit shorter than basically the animation to stand back up. And so you get knocked down by a grenade launcher, and right before you get back up fully, when you're still animation locked, the second grenade launcher shoots and then hits you. So in a way, you are deterministically dead. It's just, you gotta wait a bit for it to fucking play out. It is the reason why I do not think the knockdown mechanic should be in the game in its current state. It needs a lot more granularity to it. It cannot be an animation that is that rigid. There has to be different steps in it that you have to go through of your own volition. Like you get, like for example, like if you get knocked down, maybe you should be able to shoot when knocked down, but you can't move, right? And when you stand back up, maybe that will be animation locked, right? But like at the very first step, you get knocked down and then you choose to stand back up. Like if they have to do these weird, really rough animation locks, they still need to make it stepped. I guess we'll do that down now. It would, right? Because like you're essentially asking the player of when they want to go into this long animation they cannot escape from, right? Like, sure, you are briefly robbing them of agency when they get knocked down, but you're offering that decision point back when they choose to stand up. And that's not asking for full prone feature out functionality. It's not asking for like crawling animations. It's just asking you to step the animations in two different, you know, sets, where the first one's getting knocked down, the second one's standing up, and then you have a choice of when you engage in standing up. And like you will have maybe the ability to shoot when you're down. It can still happen too, Bob, when you get knocked down. It would probably be worse actually, because they wouldn't be in that cooldown to shoot again. So it would probably end up with you getting knocked down and then shot with a grenade launcher and dying immediately, as opposed from it being get shot, get knocked down, and get shot again by the same thing and killed. Yeah, it's asking like basically when the players it's giving the players a choice, right? Like sure, you have suffered this setback. Now when do you want to stand up again? No, it's just that's the grenade launchers. The grenade launchers for the enemies do kind of function like a rocket launcher, right? They do just shoot straight. There is like they actually, I'm not sure if all of them track. Tormentor's tracks a little bit at long range. I'm not sure if all of them track though. But we've seen before, like it's been a while though, right? Where at long range, if they shoot a grenade launcher at you, if you like jump or move left or right, it does have some tracking. So it's like a grenade launcher shot rocket. And then we get the discount grenades that actually have trajectories.
I think they spotted us.
I'm guessing what probably happened is they had issues with the AI grenade launcher guys shooting themselves with the grenade launcher by not properly compensating for trajectory. And so they just made it a straight line. Fixed. Ow. I could definitely see that playing out in my head, right? Of just having some weird issue of like, hey, we can't get this AI to work with the grenade launcher. It just keeps like, they keep shooting straight. The grenade lands in front of them and kills them. Let's just remove the trajectory. Yeah, or like that, for example, like them hitting cover here too. Like if they're behind this thing here, they just like, yeah, just lots of different little like, scenarios where they kill themselves. I got my revenge. It doesn't, Arch. No, it doesn't. It doesn't, Michael. It doesn't. It actually does the exact opposite of arching. If it still does what it does when it did before with Tormentor, where it actually tracks you. But no, it's a straight line. Why are you guys angry at me? What the hell? Any reason at all, Burley, right, to differentiate why we have, like, the same grenade launcher but shittier? Leave me alone. I'm just a little scav guy trying to get through the cars. Stop looking like you're angry with me. I think Masked Man might have some anger issues. I don't know why though. No, we don't, Michael. No. We're gonna ignore it. We're gonna ignore their inability to use the scaling tools in Unreal Engine 5. We're gonna pretend like they're all to scale. We're not gonna look at them. We're gonna ignore them, despite how many of them there are. Don't think about it. It's not like they had a human for scale, okay? Don't think about it. Do we need to talk about the tanks again? Honestly though, if they genuinely wanted to go fix the scale of things, like, we don't need to think about the cars. They would have to spend so much fucking time. There is so much fucking tech debt in regards to how inappropriately scaled things are in the game. It would take them forever to fix all of them. What is this, a car for ants? God damn it. Look what you did. I would say particularly the having a unit that's misscaled that poorly is actually just very... What the hell? Very sus. I'm gonna leave the other way. I don't feel safe going through here. I mean, that is like the potential hand wave camper, is that it's just like what the AI factories produce to get used to it. Do they have 2 seats? Can't tell. That looks like 2 seats. Well, like, so, in the video for, what's it called? In the EXO life cycle video, right, they show, like, the EXO rips off the top of a tank, and it shows just one, like, crew member inside of the tank, right? And so, you could logically say that the tanks are smaller on purpose because they're actually only one crew vehicles, as opposed to cruiser vehicles. So like the AI's reworked the car to be like a 1-seater in the center, perhaps, but it doesn't look like they've modeled it that way. Yeah, I didn't do any looting at all on that map. Let's do some gunhead. I will say, gunhead is refreshing too, because it's just simple loadout. Kim, for considering we don't have a functioning helicopter yet in game, I would say that's probably why we don't have more aerial units at all. And if you rebuttal is that we do have a helicopter in the game, do we really though? Is that what you would really call a helicopter? That thing? It's more of a hovercraft. Gravity-defying, physics-defying, ground-melding helicopter.
Initiated protocol 726. Close combat. Authorized.
It's not so fun when you're on the other end, is it?
Initiated protocol 726. Close combat. Authorized.
Oops, hold on.
Large number of tangos engaging nearby.
I can't. There we go. Leave me alone. Oh no, they're too close. This is fine. So, by the way, if you're ever in CQB with a cyborg and you're wondering why you're shooting through the cyborg, it's because the way the guns currently work in the game, and probably like for good reason too, right? Because otherwise it would be very, very weird. The projectile spawns at the end of the barrel, but the cyborgs don't block like the collision with you and the gun, right? Like if I go up to this cyborg here, like my gun goes through them, right? And so like I'm shooting at them, but because the projectile spawning on the other side of them, it doesn't hit them, right? So like when you're in CQB with cyborgs with very long guns, this can happen a lot. So just if you're ever wondering why in CQB you're getting mauled to death without it working, that's why. Long guns can be very weird when in CQB. Because they just clip through the enemies. And to be fair, like the alternate solution, right, would be like the enemies would push your gun against you too. And so like you wouldn't be able to shoot them anyway, but like that would be a bit more understandable, right? You would see that physically. I think so, Game Shit. I'm pretty sure like Russia is full autoloader, even still. Isn't the Armada supposed to have an autoloader too? The Armada has its own issues of being basically a fake tank anyway. But like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to have, I think like Russia really likes autoloaders. It's Survivor. Oh, definitely Game Shit. It's the way it's inconvenient in this game doesn't necessarily make sense to a lot of players because it just clips to them, right? You don't see it. Well, I'm pretty sure even, Michael, that the newer tanks they're coming out with, right, and the newer APCs also, are still just pure autoloader. Did I win? I mean, autoloaders are great, but you actually have to realize though too, like, there is a stamina component to loaders, but autoloaders are slower than manual loaders. At least when it matters most, right? Like there's eventually a point where maybe a loader will get tired enough where they will load slower than an autoloader, but like at that point, are you like, holy shit, like what are you shooting at? Not to my knowledge, no. They've gotten better over time. Like the autoloaders from like I think the T-72 era, right, and then before then were like very, very slow. Like very, very slow. But like the modern ones are getting better, but they're still not as close as like a fully trained crewman. Does the Leclerc have an autoloader too? I can't remember if they have an autoloader or not. I think they're the gold standard of autoloader, if I remember correctly. I know the Abrams has, I remember like if you look at the Abrams crew time for loading the Leclerc, the French main battle tank. I think the French use an autoloader too. I think their autoloader is like very sophisticated, if I recall correctly. It's been a while. My memory is very hazy. I know the Abrams uses regular crewmen for loading. I know the Russian tanks always use autoloaders. And I think the autoloaders for the tanks are a bit slower than the crew served loaders. I think the Leclerc though might be an exception, if I recall correctly. Hold on. So War Thunder has it at 5 seconds. What's the T90? About 5 to 8 seconds for the autoloader. Is this for the T90? Which I think is AI, so it might not be accurate. M1. 7 seconds or less. So like actually pretty equivalent, I would say. Yeah, like that's what I did say. I was like, it's War Thunder, so it's not necessarily accurate.
From multiple vectors.
Trust me, from all of the forum posts that have leaked of military documents, War Thunder is not always accurate, and some people were very willing to go through great fucking lengths to make that very apparent. Yeah, that's about fucking par for the course with Painless. Okay, let's abandon the pretense though that fucking Gaijin can ever balance top tier, or is caring about balancing top tier. I would say once you get past like even when you get to like late World War II tanks, they start getting pretty fucking sus in regards to balancing. I think like my favorite BRs when I played were around like 3.7 to 4, like low 4s if that. But I think are like the high 2s and low, like the high like 2.7 to 3.7 I think is like the sweet spot of that game. And I say 2.7 because a certain naval gun for Japan that is it still 2.7, the Chi Long, the fucking naval gun on the goddamn just fucking tank chassis. I love that thing so fucking much. It's so fucking, it is so genuinely fun to bring to top tier. For those unfamiliar, the Chi Long is basically just like a prototype tank that was like a last ditch tank for Japan to act as basically defense against an invading US force in the mainland. And essentially it is a cruiser gun on top of a tank chassis with no protection. It's just a gun. It is glorious. Wait, what? Am I out of fuck? Goddamn! I have to go get water now. Thanks, game. I'm gonna go get water. It's time for the chore. I mean, that will do it pretty easily, actually. We don't even need meds or supplies. Yeah, I feel like, Michael, at a certain point, though, if you're doing sustained Abrams fire, like, you're either doing high X, I guess, for, like, infantry support, which I can't remember, like, isn't that an issue with, like, main battery? I do not know this, so this is me just, like, speculating, or, like, asking you guys who might know better. Isn't, like, a thing with, like, modern smoothbore guns is that they don't have good high X rounds for, like, doing infantry support? These are basically designed to only really use Sabo. If we can ever get to the point where these things are not like scripted sequences but actual like flying units, it'd be so fucking cool. I highly doubt we would get to that point, but I do hope it's maybe in the horizon. Do they not even have a high X round, Murphy?
They have arrived. We have to.
Do they just use like a heat round, I guess, maybe for like a high explosive round? Like, if a M1 Abrams had to like destroy a building, right? Would they just shoot a saber round through it? Or would they actually like try and like use? Hold on. If an Abrams needed to like destroy a building, how would it do it? Or would like, is that like so outside the use case of a tank where there's like no? Alright, fair enough. Yeah, just like... I don't feel safe.
Units approaching.
It's not the same as high X, okay. Leave me alone. I'm just here for it in water part 2. Again, I am. I'm hoping it comes out kind of later though, because I won't be. I have an exam on Monday evening, not like Monday evening, but like Monday after late afternoon. So like, I won't be free until Monday. Like late at night. I'll still stream it. Don't get me wrong. I'm still 100% gonna stream it, but like I just won't be on till later. All right, we have solved our immediate water issue, so now we can go fix. All right, he's back. Now we can fix our rig. Blood, I can tell you it's going to be bigger. I can tell you, having firsthand knowledge of what's going to be in the patch, it's bigger. Yeah, Axe, that's kind of what I don't like about it, because like I knew lots of you guys are EU, so like if I don't start till like 5 or 6 p.m. EST, which might not be in, like, keep in mind, Fundog is mostly like Central and Pacific, so they're like an hour to 3 hours behind me, so they can like release the patch at like 5 p.m. their time and it not be 8 p.m. here and like fucking midnight plus later in the EU, right? So there's a good chance that like they might not release it till much later in the afternoon. They've done it before. In regards to patches to the game, I would say the biggest. And I would, like, I don't want to overhype you guys, so I do want to clarify, a big patch for this game is a pretty fucking low bar. I wouldn't, when they do a bunch of small patches every month, we really haven't had a big patch really, right? So in comparison to the other patches we've had, yes, it is bigger. I can't specify what it's going to contain because I am bound by contractual agreements. What the hell is this? Why are you so tidy? It is by far the biggest patch we've had, and I think it will do a lot for the gameplay. Other than that, you will have to just wait till Monday. All right, Babel. Do I really want to pay 3 water to go to Babel? Fuck it. Let me do some quests though on Babel to make up for it. I would say Gaiden, I would consider the patches they've released thus far to be pretty small. Not to diminish them, right? But for the most part, they've had the same structure of like light gameplay addition plus like map, and that's been it for like every single patch. I will say firsthand that this particular patch does break that paradigm. It does something new. So like I'm not trying to overhype it, but I am saying that like I think if you're kind of currently bored of the current loop, this patch will do a lot for you. I do think I definitely think it's an improvement. Now it's to say I think it's a great foundation for things to come. Basically,
Let's not waste space.
it flushes out a skeleton.
A couple
That I think it flushes out a skeleton that I think they can easily add to or modify or make deeper. I don't think it's as deep as it should be, but considering it's like the first iteration to build up on, it makes a lot of sense to start with this and then go from here, right? So like, in terms of like setting a good foundation, I think it's a great patch, and I think it will like, I think it makes the game feel more like a game. Like right now, all these disjointed maps just kind of feel like a tech demo.
for now. We have
And the quests, like just everything about the game feels like a tech demo, right? It doesn't feel like an actual game.
a couple dozen.
Brother, if they fix small tanks, I would find 5,000 different ways of spoiling it.
All signs point
If they
to
fixed small tanks, if they fixed the scaling issues in the game, I would violate the NDA in a fucking heartbeat to be like, I won!
a virtue.
Streamer privilege! They fixed small assets. Victory! We've beat Fun Dog. I would rather phrase it as that no game has perfect scaling, and it shouldn't be about perfect, but I would say about consistent. And consistent scaling definitely isn't there. If all tanks were small, sure, but like literally on Frozen Swamp, on Frozen Swamp, 30 feet away from each other are two vastly differently sized tanks of the same asset. So it's not even about just sizing, it's about consistency. Like if you want to make all tanks small and like, you know, make them solo tanks, okay. But at least make it consistent. Oh my god, it's a fucking soldier factory.
A couple dozen more in the ground. It won't make a difference.
Be free, my child. I mean, Jeff said it's for Monday, so I'm pretty sure that's like pretty decent confirmation. So they seem pretty locked into Monday. I'm hoping he escapes. I'm not gonna follow him out. Alright, this is one of them.
We need to reduce the numbers.
I'm actually not sure if this is an actual med crate or not, though. Yeah, this is like a doppelganger one. It doesn't actually, I don't think that one can give you credit.
Too many footsteps. We need to reduce the numbers.
Gotta be very careful here. There's the death hole here. I think there's a lot, like, should be like a lock container in here, I think. Alright, scav escape, that's good. My last water.
In good times
I only have one drill left.
City shows its true face.
Oh, I've died that. The reason why I didn't die that time is because everyone's like, "Oh yeah, there's a hole I can die in here," because I've died before there. So danky. Right, you require gel. Yeah, it definitely is, especially considering, like, if you don't bring a pneumatic jump, you can kind of get fucked. Because the grabber can, like, just, like, lock off the pathway and you're kind of stuck. I don't think they get targeted, but they can get collateral damaged. So I do not believe they get focused on by the AI, but the AI can kill them. Alright, let's get the fuck out of here.
Always a good feeling.
Yeah, single fire does do that. Tapping is pretty accurate, just that full auto becomes a fucking mess pretty quickly. I'm surprised they haven't, like... We have a few timed extracts and a few elevator extracts. I'm kind of curious if they're ever going to make those extracts actually require you to go up the elevator and survive. Imagine how that elevator... Think of all the fucking drones. The long-ass elevator ride. And just the constant drone spawning. Terrifying. Alright, time for a court-mandated fucking cemetery run. Survive on the moving platform with no cover. I don't think we're ever gonna have an instance though, Camphor, of having a unit like that be playable though, right? Because it kind of breaks the whole paradigm of like, you know, the game of like not being a strong badass. Alright, logbook, civilians, cemetery. Don't get seen. We got night shift too. Is the book down here? Oh, I don't see the book. No, I'm picking the wall, not the book area. Alright, the dog to the right. Open the goddamn door. Book? No book. Whew. Plastic chair. Come on. Is your dog? Very good. I don't you see me? I'm busy. I'm having. God damn it. Why are you faster than me? I'm fucking scav girl. You know what? Fuck you. Don't feel so fucking fast, do you now, bitches?
There are a ton of them nearby. We should wait.
Yeah, stands on a small ledge. Get fucking countered, scramblers. You know, in a certain particular way, I kind of can view this almost like Nightmare and Mother Courage. This feels like that kind of dynamic, right? This feels very appropriate. There's a very clear parallel to draw here. Be free. I need the quest reward. Sir, this is not... Are you like conditioned to not want to... Sir? Guess he wants to live here. Alright, well, fuck. Don't tell me how... I'm not gonna tell you how to fucking live, I guess. You enjoy yourself. Alright, I didn't see the book at all, so the book's kind of is what it is. My fucking hands, man. I think that, yeah, that door is open. Alright, up we go.
Another day, another dollar.
Alright, our court mandated cemetery session's now over. We may now move on. I recovered my water I paid for. Alright. Hashtag worth. Let's see here. Let's go back to Matt. Actually, we haven't done Bagman in a while. Let's be slow for a bit. Do we have the mag for you? We don't. We can still bring you though. Rifle wise, oh, let's have some fun. Let's go 50 cal. Vendors, buy some shotgun ammo real quick. 50 cal just in case. There's no way I use all of this, so we'll just bring 200 rounds of that. And we will bring plenty of shotgun ammo we probably will need. Meds. Let's go big boy. Not hunting, but just, I guess, spectating. We bring some drills. All right, we're gonna go to Mesa, and we're gonna have all the mechs spawn. All of the mechs spawn. No, they clear that up, Gaten. It's not 1.0. We're at like what, 0.75 right now, and like the last step they did was 0.05. So they're making it very clear they're not close to 1.0 yet. All right.
You know the drill.
Mechs.
Stick together.
What do you mean Riggs waves impacting my stamina? It's too early, so we have half the equation. It's more in the sense, Game Shift, that the patch names they were using for the version names they were numbering, the version numbering they were using was like, you could draw the inference that like we were quickly approaching 1.0. And you can't really fault anyone for that, I don't feel like either, right? Because they were like every month was 0.1. So like 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7. And that was happening every single month, so it was like reason to believe, hey, if we're seeing a 0.1 patch every single month, then we're, you know, X months away from 1.0 from just the version numbering. Maybe that means 1.0 in 3 months. Man, they got alerted pretty quickly from that 50 cal. Holy shit. All right, do we have T90s at all at least? Well, it's also just Emp in a way too, just like in a way kind of critiquing their form of communication, because like, if there was any communication for the developers at all, I don't think anyone would draw that inference. But it was more because, like, there was such a void of information that people had to go off literally anything they can grab onto, right? Alright, so we don't have T90s, we don't have anything to kill these mechs. Alright, well, womp womp. Wait, are there T90s over there? Yeah, there are actually. So these might die. It would just probably take a while. No, yeah, I think they should probably, yeah, I haven't heard anything about merch. Trust me, I basically know as much as you guys do. I really do not have really any more knowledge. Trust me, when Nightmare and myself are twisting their arms to communicate, it's also because we're also in the dark. Though I think Nightmare might know the most out of anyone, to be honest, because I think Miles talks with Nightmare regularly. But no, you're like, yeah, don't worry, I'm also clawing for information also half the time. I'm probably not, I might buy it, I'm not sure. It depends on how, like, I am not in a rush to play Arc Raiders. It looks really cool, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it looks bad, but I'm hesitant on the experience they can deliver. I think they've moved from being a like a AA quality game to like a AAA quality light live service shit show. And so I'm hesitant to get on board with it immediately. I'm gonna wait, see how it pans out, and like get a gauge after like a month or two of how that game is doing, because I don't really want to get into a game and then discover it's an RMT cheat shit show. I did not do the tests, no. What the hell just hit me? I guess it was the mech? Maybe, or like an exo? Oh, no, I mean, I'm not gonna, so, Gaiden, I am not saying the gameplay is bad. I'm not saying the underlying game underneath is bad. I am concerned about the meta systems they build on top of the game. I'm concerned about the alleged RMT store they might have access to. I'm afraid that they're going to have trading or some way to promote RMT in the game, even if they don't do it themselves. I'm afraid that's going to cause cheating issues in the game, and it's going to erode the trust the community has in the developer. I'm afraid that they're so profit driven. Okay, I need to look this up because I don't know this for a fact, but does Tencent own a stake in the company that does make the game? I remember like it was some corporate overlord that was like kind of sus about as a publisher. I wouldn't know, but here's the thing though, Gaiden. A game, there's a difference between a competitive game like the finals and cheating, and a game that's supposed to have things like gear fear and progression and is hardcore and long term. So like, their cheating in Tarkov is bad is because the experience in Tarkov is very hardcore and long term. If you get cheated in the finals, right, you might just lose a game, right? If you get cheated in Tarkov, you might lose days, if not weeks of worth, depending on what you lost. And then because of that scarcity too of those, like, in the values of the resources, those can now be sold for real money. So Camphor, RMT refers to real money transactions. Essentially, like, buying things in game with money is considered RMT, but generally speaking, when people refer to RMT, they usually mean through not the game developer themselves. An example of this being the very classic gold farmers and like MMOs, right? A gold farmer will go farm gold by whatever means possible, or get gold any way possible, and then sell you that gold for actual cash IRL. That is, at its most basic form, what RMT is. They're selling you some resource in the game for real world cash. And the problem is if that becomes lucrative enough, right? The people don't, like, let's say for example, the easiest way for you to make money to sell, the easiest way for you to make, you know, credits in game to sell to players is through cheating. And so you'll get an account, you'll do some cheat on it, you'll make 1 million credits, let's say, and you sell those 1 million credits, and your account gets banned. But if the developers don't have a way of tracking that money or removing that money from the account of the player you sold it to, or implicating that player who bought the money in that transaction and banning them, it continues. And so, for example, like, let's say, for example, if a game costs $10 and you make $15 to $20 off gold sales, right? Well, you just netted that much money, right? You can do it again, right? And it might sound like not a lot of money for you personally, but if you start considering like third world countries, right? You know, out in, like, you know, Oceania is a big area, right? I know, like, for example, in New World, there was a ton of Thai and Filipino gold farmers because it was lucrative for them, right? North Americans would buy it with their excess cash, right? Because money goes a lot farther there than it does here. And they would, you know, use that money back. Like, they would make a living out of it, right? They were professional gold sellers or RMTers. And That's the problem with things like extraction shooters that thrive on hardcore experiences and like long-term progression and like acquiring things that are hard to get, is that it promotes RMT. And so if there's nothing in Arc Raiders that's stopping this from happening, like if there's the ability to give items between other players, it means RMT will exist in some capacity, and it depends on how hard the developers want to lock it down, right? Because in a twisted sort of logical sense, right, if you think about it from the business perspective, it's actually quite lucrative for the game developer too, or the publisher. Because think of it, right? If you're constantly banning accounts who then buy the game again to play the game again, and you continue this cycle, it means you have a consistent revenue, like, so you basically have a subscription, right? Like, you're letting this person cheat for a while, right? And you don't want to ban them immediately too, even if you know they're gold selling. Even if you know this account as a gold seller and they're making money and they're, you know, doing things right, you're incentivized to make it profitable for them because it makes it profitable for you. You're getting a kickback on them selling gold or RMTing, right? It's a very perverse incentive. And the problem is once that gets situated in a game, it's basically just destroys the integrity of the environment. And I would say by and large, while there are certain people who would really only want to play SPT Tarkov, I would say that dynamic I just described is why PvP or just regular Tarkov is fucking dead as shit and no one wants to fucking play it outside of grinders and PvPers. Because they don't understand that Tarkov has no integrity anymore. And it might not have ever had integrity, but like it definitely doesn't fucking have it now. And so the reason why I want to wait on Arc Raiders is that I want to see how they handle this dilemma if they actually have that problem in their game. And you'll be able to see pretty early if they have that problem. Because like the only thing we don't really know about the game, right, is how they're doing their meta systems. And once the game releases and we know what's going on with that, I can tell you if there's going to be issues with it. Even if they're not there yet, I can tell you if there's going to be issues with it. From how the game plays and how progression is and how it like has cheaters. And considering I don't have high hopes for Nexon, I do not like Nexon as a company. I think Nexon will see how lucrative farming these gold sellers is for caches, and they will allow it. They'll still ban them because they have to for perception purposes. But like, it's performative in nature. We don't that much. Fuck it, stairway. Court mandated stairway. But like, no, like if I don't mind the concept of PvP, like I'm perfectly okay with it, but if the game has PvP and it feels like they're not really trying to solve a RMT cheating issue, I lose interest quite quickly. Because it undermines any integrity in the environment.
You know the drill. Stick together and stay alive.
I mean, Gaiden, I would zoom out a bit. Thanks, Fuchera. I would zoom out a bit, Gaiden. I would not necessarily say it's gaming seems relevant because it's where we're currently at right now, but it's much more of a societal issue. I would not say that the games themselves are becoming shit in and of themselves because of the environment. I am saying that the environment society has created is making games shittier through the laissez-faire, you know, laissez-faire capitalism, basically. We're basically laissez-faire at this point. Like, it is what it is. We don't have any regulation anymore. If there should be so many antitrust lawsuits being filed right now if we were actually in regulated capitalism. There are so many fucking companies that should not be as big as they are. And there are so many companies trying to become bigger than they already are too. It's fucking wild. And when you don't have competition, right, you just get shittier services. And you can see that in games too, right? I mean, apparently Game Shift enough to live in, like, Oceania perfectly well. I'm not sure how hard they're going at it, to be honest, but, like, New World was chock fucking full of Oceania, like, gold sellers. It was the game's, like, worst kept secret, is that, like, lots of, like, very competitive people would buy gold, and the Oceania people were so happy to sell to them. And honestly, Ashes is, like, every MMO is kind of the same way, because unfortunately the game developers do not want to be heavy-handed in that regard. I can understand, because, like, once you get into the whole thing of, like, permanently banning players for doing shit like that, it gets into this weird territory of, like, are we going to destroy our own player base? But, like, it kind of feels like it's to this point where it's, like, every MMO's worst kept secret. Because let's be honest here, like, if you design your game from the ground up, you can track transactions. You can tell, why is this random person who just made an account, like, a month ago giving you tons of gold for free? Sure, you might not be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt, but you can prove probable cause. Like, you can prove what's it called? Preponderance of evidence. I'm not sure that's the actual definition in civil. Like, so there's civil and like criminal law, right? Or so, like, civil and criminal cases, right? Criminal cases have to be beyond a reasonable doubt in America, but, like, civil cases have a much lower burden of proof, right? Where it just has to be the, like, majority of evidence. It might be preponderance of evidence. So if it's more likely than not that you did it, right, you're usually held liable in a civil course or civil court. And, like, I would say under that burden of proof, you could probably ban so many gold buyers. But, like, they don't. Like, I've known so many people who fucking bought gold MMOs that just never got banned for it. And, like, they weren't hiding it. It's the game's worst fucking kept secret. And, like, to be fair, like, it's the same perverse incentive I described before, right? Where, like, why do you want to ban, like, the people who are giving you income consistently by rebuying your game over and over again? That's interesting. That's good to know, Gaiden. Yeah, unfortunately, like, I like Ashes of Creation so far. It is not a game yet. It is very much a tech demo. But, like, the only problems I'm very concerned about Steven, like, being the figurehead of the company. I'm not sure how, like, he interacts so, he is almost the extreme opposite of what this company is, right? There is, like all of things, right, there's a nice balanced middle ground. I think Steven is too ingrained or talks too much to the community of the game, to the point where he is a bit now biased in regards to how he makes his game. I think the big people in the game and the big guilds and the big, you know, streamers in the game have done their work in regards to skewing his perception. Where I don't think he's, like, untainted by them anymore. So I'm a bit concerned about that. It is the exact opposite, right? Because Steven interacts with the community, right? Like, you can go, like, he'll talk in the Discord regularly to people. And that, like, is the opposite extreme of what Fundog does.
Victory and a bottle of whiskey waiting at home.
Are you an alcoholic back, man? What the hell? Yeah, for sure. Let's go back to Mask Man. All right, let's give Mesa one more shot to like actually give me what I want in a mech fight. I believe in you, Mesa. I brought like 10 in, I think. I thought I brought 10 in. I think that's how many I brought. I don't think I picked up any more extra. I think that was like all I brought in. I will do TKP because why not? Need more ammo though. All right, 50 cal. All right, we have our sniper. We have this. We're gonna jump too. All right, Mesa, don't let me down. I think there's a balancing act, Game Shift. I think having some communication is perfect. Like, I don't think they need to be talking in Discord every day or really at all, right? I understand that perspective. I've had developers in the past take a different approach where they're very active in Discord, especially in smaller communities, and I think that's by and large fine if they keep it healthy. Like Dune Spice Wars, I talk to the developers every day in Discord for the most part, but like, I understand that's not the norm and probably not healthy or probably not sustainable in the long term, right? But I think the alternate, we're just like, hey, maybe like once a month, just like drop a Discord message like Jeff did, right? Or like maybe like once a week. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be crazy. It doesn't have to be an announcement too, right? It can just be like a quick Q&A via text of like, hey, I'm gonna come in the Discord and answer questions for like 5-10 minutes. Like, here's the window. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be like, it can be ad hoc and impromptu, right? It doesn't have to be overly formalized. It can just be like, hey, we're gonna come chill and talk with you guys for a bit. The community interaction checkbox to make sure that we're like not being fucking crazy, or to give us something to go off of, right? Once again, only half the equation. I hear some drones. Oh, hey, cows. There's a 290 there, right? Go, 290, go. God damn it.
Everyone for themselves.
There we go. Wait, hold on here. I shot him, he did an aggro? Really? I just watched a man die.
This is it. We decide what happens next.
By the way, I'm still very thoroughly sad they removed the collision from the mech guns. It was so fun riding on those.
This is it. We decide what happens next.
On stealth. They usually walk up here before. Like, they don't have stuff to fight in the field. They usually do walk up here, but I don't think they have like the pathfinder to get past like here though. It's weird. It's also weird. Like they probably need to they do some love too of like, hey, if you're fighting a drone, turn around and expose your back gun to the drone. Moo. It's like, I guess the problem I would highlight is like, it's very hard for the medium mech to bring their guns to bear on targets.
Whittle them down and we can break out.
I think I'll just go looking on the other side of the chasm and then leave. Unfortunately, we did not find a Europa mech, or sorry, Eureka mech today. You need to die. It would help if you hold still. Hold on.
It's raining bullets.
Yeah, they could work. The only problem with the powder mounted guns they have is they're very inaccurate. I believe the drones have 2k HP and no weak spot. If I recall correctly, it's 2k. So it's like 2 shots with the 36M or like 3 with this gun, or like, yeah, 2k of anything else. See ya, Delta.
I think they spotted us. That's it for us.
But yeah, no weak spot plus 2k HP means they're pretty tanky. Yeah, weirdly, like, actually, most infantry is pretty tanky. It's just that, like, for the most part, you can easily hit their headed box. Like, try shooting brawlers in the chest. Brawlers take fucking forever to die if it's not a headshot.
Whittle them down.
It is, like, kind of comical how much they eat bullets. I don't like this. Oh, I'm gonna fucking die. We're okay. Jump. Wait, what? Maybe I got smacked, but like, that sounded like a falling death. God, there's so many fucking cyborgs there. It definitely feels like they've balanced cyborgs around drum mags. Bringing a 30-round magazine just does not cut it now. Alright. That's it for today, everyone. I will see you guys again tomorrow for another stream. Sunday I will be off, and Monday I'll be back for the, like, I guess the patch stream, but it won't be till later evening, regardless of when they release it. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow, and have a good weekend, and then I'll see you guys Monday for the patch. Alright, bye everyone.